one of these people who predicts the future 10 and 20 years into the future, this is a pretty solid prediction, right? AI is going to fundamentally change the way lots of things are done um, in our business and in our societies. Okay, did that. Now I see why everybody keeps going into withdraw. Okay, so let's see where we're going. Okay. Am I able to do anything? Oh, here we go. Great. Um, I'll just keep clearing these things. Okay. Okay. So, sorry for the delays here. So, try to unpack that number, that $4 trillion number, and break it down into something a little more useful that you can get your head around. If you look at the right side of the slide, AI use cases by market size, what we're looking at are 4 different use cases here: fraud detection, risk management, anti-money laundering, which is a very important area that we'll touch on in a slide or two, and then compliance and cybersecurity. You'll notice that all of these are business-related workloads. And you're on a platform and you're working with international business machines. So we're going to be focused on business business workloads, right? And so as you work through your different projects, just try to keep that in mind. Clearly, no one's going to be able to create a fully blown, B2B business suite in a weekend. However, you should keep the thought in your head. How might this apply, or how is it that what I'm trying to do here may have some kind of an application in a business environment? And you can see the opportunities that AI brings to all of these different areas of focus, right? These are very key activities for large commercial entities like banks, insurance companies, large retail outlets, and governments for that matter. They're all interested in, number one, making sure the systems are not used for illegal purposes, that transactions are performed in a way that's fair and legal, and that businesses in general are going to try to
Joe, you're on mute. I don't know what happened there.
Yep. Okay, I got it. So when we talk about the AI landscape, we're really talking about a couple of different kinds of AI. There's what people often refer to as traditional AI, which is focused on algorithmic kinds of things that you would do to gain insights into large volumes of data. Used to be called big data types of work. Forecasting demands, looking at pricing. How do you price things efficiently so that that you can properly and properly price your products so that you're not overcharging or undercharging? And then how can you optimize your costs? These are all basic traditional AI that's been leveraged and implemented for years. And it's a very important and very useful area to focus on. Large language models have gotten all the attention lately because of ChatGPT, OpenAI, and all the very, very large models that are out there. The mainframe is playing in this space too. But again, we always have an eye towards number one, what business problem is this solving? And if it doesn't solve a business problem, it probably doesn't make sense on this particular platform. You're not going to generate videos or deep fakes on this platform. It's simply for no other reason. It just doesn't make sense. It's an expensive platform to run on, but it also provides the ability to scale up workloads in ways that you simply can't do in the cloud. And if you remember, I emphasized on the last slide. Yeah. Okay. If you remember, I emphasized on the last slide the anti-money laundering scenario. Just 8 days ago, TD Bank in Canada was assessed a $1.3 billion penalty by the U.S. government because they did not properly monitor their anti-money laundering environment, and they allowed illegal activity to make their way through their network. They were warned and now penalized. And as big a problem as the large $1.3 billion settlement is, they also now have to be monitored for 4 years by the U.S. government in order to do business in the United States. So these are real issues that have real world consequences if they're not handled and managed properly. The infrastructure you use is absolutely key to how you accomplish what it is you're trying to do. And the mainframe is at the center of all of this work. 7 out of 10 of all the world's transactions every single day run through a mainframe. May not be the front-end presentation services, it may not be the cloud services that the end user interfaces with, but the transaction that's done and the analysis of all of the business logic that goes on in most cases will take place on a mainframe. And the idea here is that you can take and apply AI in real time, and the term real time here is absolutely key. You can provide real-time insights during a transaction to make sure that you can apply your AI scoring to make a decision at the time of the transaction. That's simply something that cannot be done with distributed environments where you have nodes spread across the cloud that have to communicate over a network and follow, what an architecture that many people are quite familiar and comfortable with. It's something they may be able to understand. However, it simply will not perform quickly enough to meet the needs of the commercial industry. Okay. The idea here is you take your business applications and you move it right next to your transaction data that's centered on your mainframe, and you do all of the work there in order to meet some of these service windows. And what we're talking about here by a service window is, for instance, a credit card company is trying to apply an AI rule to make a decision to determine if the transaction that's about to be performed is fraudulent or not. And you have a service window that's measured in milliseconds. So maybe 30 milliseconds to decide this is a valid transaction or this is not a valid transaction. It's a very, very important use case that we have on this platform. Okay. And so you want to perform quite quickly, and you want to do it with the best security that you can implement. So here's the kind of environment that you're going to be looking at today. Primarily, you're interested in this middle layer here with all of these open source capabilities that we see the logos for in the middle layer. Above this is where the applications reside, and it's where IBM has built a large portfolio of AI products. This is really here to illustrate just how much it is that we build on top of this open source layer that's running on the mainframe. Okay, these are not things that you're really going to be using for this Datathon, but the middle layer here has some of the packages that will be available for you to use and leverage for your own applications. I also want to point out underneath this, IBM owns the entire vertical stack from the silicon all the way up through the applications. And so one of the strengths of our platform is that we have capabilities to do AI acceleration directly on the machine. There is no need to go out and buy an NVIDIA, graphics adapter or AI engine and put it in your rack in order to build out all of these capabilities. The mainframe itself has all of this built into it. There is the existence of what's called the Telum or Telum 2 now processor. This is an on-chip accelerator that helps with AI inference directly in line with the application, also done more or less transparently to the application so that the card and the hardware are leveraged without all sorts of extra steps having to be taken. There's also, we just announced what's called the Spire Accelerator. It's a PCI attached host AI accelerator for larger workloads and application to some of the large language models. Both of these are built directly into the mainframe, again, with no need to attach a separate appliance. Okay. All right. So here's just a quick picture of the Telum 2 processor. Here is the accelerator down here, built onto the chip. And here's what's called a data processing unit for I/O acceleration. Alex may know a bit more about this than myself. The point is, it is right on the chip die. And for some of these other performance-intensive applications, there is the PCI attached card. You can read all about these in the proceedings of the latest Hot Chips conference. This was announced last month, I think, end of August. And so this is a very recent development. What I really want to highlight is all of the performance enhancements that are implemented with these two processors are done with the idea in mind that performance per watt is what really matters, rather than raw performance. And this is really key and a theme to AI acceleration that we take for the mainframe. Just to give you some idea of some of the scale, you can do 3.5 million inferences per second with a 1 millisecond response time. This is a credit card fraud detection model. So you can do a huge amount of work on the system in a very short period of time. As an example over here, I worked with this particular bank, or it's a credit card company. They wanted to score 100% of all their transactions. In other words, they wanted to apply AI to determine if the transaction that's being performed is real or not, and they wanted to do it for all of their transactions. Prior to that, they'd only been able to score about 40% of their transactions, and what was happening was they were losing a lot of money to fraudulent transactions that otherwise they would have detected too late, too late after the transaction had occurred, and therefore they lost money. Okay, so they really wanted to be able to scale that up, and they've been able to do that with the mainframe. I'll leave you with one thought. Sustainable design down here in the corner. Remember, I said we're concerned with performance per watt. We've benchmarked some of our workloads against conventional NVIDIA GPU-based architectures, and been able to quantify the energy savings using the integrated accelerator versus an NVIDIA GPU. And you can see that there's a 41x reduction in the amount of energy used. You can go look this up. This is very key to what we do. It's not only the right thing to do from sort of an overall, better for the world and society point of view, it's also good business, because businesses are finally having to come to terms with the idea that you can't simply scale up your cloud forever and waste resources just to get raw performance, okay? If you really want to think about how to make a positive impact on the world going forward, this is a really good place to do it. If you can work on this platform where energy efficiency is a focus of what it is that we do, you can perhaps make a real difference in where we're going today, where IT data centers are getting ever larger and consuming an ever larger portion of resources that could otherwise be used for other things. So that's the introduction. I'll turn it over to Alex now, and good luck everyone with your activities, and hope this goes well for you. Enjoy the next couple days.
Yeah, thank you, Joe. All right, let me share the screen, and yeah, we can get the details about the environment which we prepared today. All right, hope everyone can see my screen now. I'm Dr. Alex Osachi. I am with IBM, and my role is Solutions Architect, and I'm part of the IBM Z ISV ecosystem team. So what I do in my role is I work with external vendors, software vendors, developers, outside developers, help them build, architect their solutions on IBM Z and LinuxONE. And today, I'll introduce you to the AI/ML environment that runs on IBM LinuxONE, which is the modern mainframe system. We have prepared a lab environment, right, for this Datathon Hackathon event, where each group of students, participants, right, will be able to get their own instance of AI/ML environment on their own instance of IBM LinuxONE, part of the IBM LinuxONE system. And then you'll be able to experience it firsthand, basically work on the modern mainframe system and do AI and machine learning. Here on this chart, you see the architecture, high-level architecture of the environment that we prepared. We have an LinuxONE community cloud, which has IBM LinuxONE machine, the actual physical mainframe systems, right, running in the data center. And in this data center, you will be able to sign up through a web interface on the LinuxONE community cloud page. After you sign up, you will be able to request your own instance. It's going to be a Linux instance, Ubuntu, or Red Hat instance. Then you will bring up Docker container runtime. And after that, you will be able to pull down Jupyter AI/ML container, which we prepared and prepackaged all popular AI machine learning frameworks. They are Python frameworks such as PyTorch, TensorFlow, scikit-learn, XGBoost, right? Popular frameworks. And then there is also a nice web-based IDE, right? Which is popular among data scientists called Jupyter Notebooks. You will get your own instance of Jupyter Notebooks as well as part of this container, and then be able to use your browser to connect to that Jupyter Notebooks. There are sample notebooks included so that you can learn from the existing sample notebooks. And then after you kind of learn, you got your environment, then you can go ahead and start working on your own projects, right? Which you will be submitting then to the event. The registration is pretty straightforward. So you would just go to the IBM LinuxONE Community Cloud, and we also have instruction. Like in this video, I'll walk you through the sign up process and how to get access to the lab environment. But also we have instruction online on the GitHub, which document same steps, right? So whichever way you prefer, right? Either watch a replay of the video or just go to the GitHub link here and read through the steps and follow the steps. Either way works. So you would register in LinuxONE Community Cloud. What's important that you would register, like you make one registration per team, right? So you'll team up for the contest, right? You will team up, and then with your teammates, you'll just decide who in your team will go ahead and sign up and get an instance of the environment, right? When you will be signing up, another important aspect, right, is to use the event code, which is SSF 2024. So what it does, it will ensure that you will be registered for the proper event, but also that you will get the right type of system, right, for the AI/ML frameworks to be able to run. Once you sign up, register, there will be an email, activation email coming to your inbox. You will follow the activation email and then get into the portal and sign up to the LinuxONE Community Cloud. Once you're in LinuxONE Community Cloud, you will be then able to request your Ubuntu system by clicking on the virtual servers and managing instances here. Once this system is built, it's going to be like your own Linux instance running on the modern mainframe machine underneath. You can use a standard typical ways, right, of working with server systems, Linux server systems, which is SSH, right, secure shell. You will connect to that Linux system. Either from Mac or Mac OS and Linux, you're going to use SSH command in the terminal. If you have Windows system, then you would use a PuTTY SSH tool to create a session. Once you log in, then there are a few commands to bring down the Docker runtime and pull down the lab container. So once you have that container down and running, your own instance of the AI ML environment is up and running, and you can start using it, right? So you just open a browser window. So it means you're done with your SSH session, and you go into the browser, you open your browser and point it to your instance, and your instance will have a public IP address, right? And the last two octets here are marked as XX because each of you will have its own instance, its own IP address, and you will just use exact that IP address, and the port is the same. The token, right, is your password, the one that you use in the command line on the previous. Hold on. Yep. Okay, yeah. So here in the command, when you run your Docker container, you specify in the line your token, right? That's the token you specify, that the token you're gonna use when accessing the environment. Once you in the browser you log in, you put the token there as a password. You will get to the actual Jupyter Lab ID environment, and you will see the sample notebooks, right? So these sample notebooks and sample data are there for you to kind of click through. And the nice thing, that's why data scientists love this tool, right? Is the nice thing about Jupyter notebooks, right? It's not just the Python code. It actually provides a documentation, right? So this is the code, Python code mixed with annotations, which really help to understand what is happening, right? Then you can run it step by step. And when you do that, then each step will produce the result, and you will see those results right away. So this is another nice thing about Jupyter notebooks, right? So you go, you learn, you understand how the models are being trained, how the data is being pre-processed, what kind of exploratory analysis is done in those sample notebooks. And this is really how the data scientists in real world would do, right? So they would get the data, pre-process the data, get kind of a feeling of the data through different explorations, like correlations, do correlative analysis, right? Do some visualizations to visualize the data, kind of get a feel of the data, engineer some features, and then train the model, right? Train different types of model, traditional machine learning, deep learning, right? And work on choosing the model after that, testing the model for accuracy, tuning the model for accuracy, and eventually at the end deploying it in production, right, for the actual solution. We have a fairly updated list of packages right in there. So as you can see, it's a long list of packages for data processing for AI machine learning, different versions there, TensorFlow, Torch, Keras. Yeah, if any of the packages are not on the list, there is also an option to install it, right? And I'll show that part a little bit later in the charts here. We have a list of frequently asked questions, right? So if you run into an issue, right, cross-check against the FAQ, right? Most probably your question was already raised, and there is an answer, right? If you don't find an answer in the FAQ, if you don't find an answer in the instructions, then as part of the event, right, we'll have SMEs like myself, Joel, and other experts from IBM, right, being in kind of standby in Discord, kind of supporting your progress through the event, right? If you have any kind of issues, questions, right, so we'll be Discord there trying to help you. So the questions here, right, from different areas, right? So in some cases, the system, the registration email is not received, and it's a reminder that yes, please do use the event code. Most probably the event code wasn't used. Server is not responding, right? Then in this case, you would do some troubleshooting, right, as per these questions here and answers. Permission errors, right? Then you would need to run some additional commands here to fix the permission error. We have other kind of, we have seen other like students run into problems with container, right, not working. In this case, you can just use Docker to remove the container and rerun it again, right? If you mess up something with the container, you break it, right? It's no big deal. Container is a technology which actually which provide that flexibility to easily kind of remove the container which is broken and reprovision it again. So these are all different kind of problems we have seen, right? And how we provide solution, how to solve it. All right. Regarding the criteria, right? So your submissions, which you will do at the end, right after you you requested your environment, you ran through the sample notebooks, you created your own solution, and you will also kind of prepare the proper documentation, videos, and source code and other parts. So you will be submitting it. So here's an information on what criteria like we're gonna follow to kind of judge the submissions and decide on the winner, right? So that, like, on the one side, it's the value to the community, of course, right? So we'll be looking into, okay, your idea, how valuable it is to community, how practical it is, how creative, novel. But two other criteria is actually around you leveraging the IBM Z LinuxONE environment, right? So one, we want to make sure that your idea, your solution is meant for the modern mainframe systems, right? So it makes sense for the modern mainframe systems. And two, we want to see proof, right? Proof of you kind of running your project on IBM LinuxONE system, right? So it means in order for you to kind of have really good chances of winning, right? So you would have to meet all three criteria here, right? So again, value to community, make sure your project is meant for the modern mainframe systems, IBM Z and LinuxONE, and also make sure that you ran your model on the actual instance of IBM LinuxONE. Often, being asked like, okay, where do I get data, right? Because any AI machine learning project starts with data. There are actually a lot of public sources available, right? Kaggle.com has a lot of public data sets for machine learning, including the one from IBM Research, right? So in IBM, or big IBM organization, we have a whole division, IBM Research, right, where scientists work and data scientists work on different projects and data and experiments. And yeah, they actually publishing and open sourcing some of the data, like 20 million records, credit card transaction records, are being contributed by IBM to Kaggle.com, right, as an open data set. Government organizations, right, they are kind of obligated to provide all of their data to public. So any kind of data that governments have, right, they are required to publish it, so you can get that. Universities often share the data. A lot of data sets on COVID, right, the pandemic we had. There are different medical records available, like medical data, statistical data, right, available regarding the health, community health, and other areas. So there is a lot of data, right, available that can be leveraged. So recommendation would be definitely start with the data, right? Before you kind of come up with the model and the solution and the project, right, for this event. Because with like if you have an idea but you cannot find the data, right, then you won't be able to actually fulfill the project, right, fulfill that idea. So at best it's kind of explore, find the data. You have maybe several ideas, then explore, see if you can find the data, and then if you find the data, then you can proceed and go ahead do the training and inferencing. And here then I would like to summarize what Joe and myself covered, right? So there are a few important links. Again, the environment which we prepared is in LinuxONE Community Cloud. You will go ahead and register, one registration per team. Make sure to use the event code. Instructions are available online in GitHub, and also will be available through this recording, right? We also will share the presentations from Joe and myself. Then you will follow the instructions, bring up your own instance of Jupyter Lab AI/ML container, and run it on IBM LinuxONE, and then proceed from there. So this concludes my presentation, and I would like to thank you everyone for listening in, and also thank you for participating, and definitely would like to wish you the best luck in kind of hacking and creating amazing things. Thank you all.
Amazing. Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Bruce. Thank you, Alex, and thank you, Joe. We are still receiving some questions from the students. So hopefully we can, kind of answer it if possible.
Yeah, sure. If anyone would like to go off mute and ask the question, yeah, Joe and I will try to address it. Otherwise, we have a Discord, right? So Discord is probably the best place, right? Once you have your team and you kind of start already pondering ideas for the project, then if you have questions, I would kind of recommend and go into Discord and just ask it there. So anyone has any question, would like to go off mute and ask it here? All right, so it looks like no questions yet, right? Or at least if there were any questions, then they got probably answered through the presentations. All right.
You all have the choice to unmute yourself right now. So please feel free to unmute and ask your queries.
Can you please share the Discord link?
Yeah, the Discord link will be shared with you over mail today.
Okay, thank you.
Good evening, sir, ma'am. And this is Divyansh. Actually, I am facing problem with this IBM LinuxONE login. Cause this is only like this is showing that already registered then login. This is not showing for like sign up and all those things. So I am facing problem with this thing.
Yeah, so you can actually either Google for LinuxONE Community Cloud, or let me put the link in the chat here.
That will be very
Yes.
nice of you, sir.
Yeah, because there are two options. There's two options, right? To register and to log in, right? So the first time you will proceed with registration, right?
Okay, sir. And also, one thing, that is there any points that we have to relate with our project with, like, kuch, something like our project must be on that particular topics? Is there any requirement, prerequisite like that?
You were given a theme, but the problem statement is completely on you. The theme is tech for good, as you all know already.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Hello? Hello?
Well,
Yes.
yes.
So you said that only one team member has to register. How can the others work together? I didn't get it.
Okay. Yeah, let me answer that, right? So since this is the systems are accessible through the web interface, right? So you can share the instance because pretty much you can access it from even distributed locations just using internet and the browser, right?
So basically the one team member will register and then he will share the link with the other members? Or how is
That's
that?
correct. Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Is there a limit to how many people can access an instance at the same time?
There is no limit, but yeah, you would have to basically, you can access multiple people can access, right? There is no like 5, maybe 6, 7 people can access it. No problem. You certainly want to somehow coordinate that you're not like running the model at the same time, because still the instance is shared, right? So I mean, it's a common, it's the same, like this, you get the same processor, right? The memory, same instance. So in a way you would have to, like, you can access it at the same time, like you can view it, but then you would have to just coordinate like who runs the model, right? Let's say if one person that running the training on the model, it uses all the CPU and memory, right? You don't want another person to do that at the same time, to do the same thing, right? So you will want to say, okay, maybe person one is running the training, then others are kind of in standby, watching that model being trained, right, getting results. Then maybe second person on the team tries his model is next, right, and others are watching. So you would have to coordinate, right, from that perspective. Otherwise, if multiple people running at the same time, this basically, it will not crash, right, but it just will slow down the things a lot.
Is it required for all the team members to enroll ourselves in Linux?
No, just one person will be enrolling, right? And let me see if I can share my screen here again. So yes, you will be enrolling one person, right? Okay, sure. Right, so you go to the LinuxONE Community Cloud part here, right? Then here's a registration button, right? So you would have to register, and that's just one person registering and getting access. Then after you register, that person will sign in and provision the instance. So after the instance is provisioned, right? So let's say you go here, manage instances, and like I already have an instance, right? But basically, once you create the instance will be up and running. So this is where that person, the first person and the only one person who registers, he's done his part. So now you have this instance running, right? And it's a public IP address. So that means the instance is already up and running, and other team members can just access this instance, right, in the browser.
Hello.
So, do we have to submit the complete project or just what we have completed by the deadline in Datathon?
Yeah, certainly, yeah, we have criteria and we expect full projects, right? So at least you want to provide, like, let's say if you we're not able to finish some parts, right? At least, you know, we would expect that you meet the criteria of the submission, right? I believe it is, you know, you need to have a video at least, right? Talking about your solution, some charts kind of explaining like the problem, right? What you're trying to solve, some kind of architecture, maybe showing the drawing, like how your solution will be running on the mainframe systems, right? And then whatever you're able to show like as evidence of trying it, building it, right? Include there, right? And that would be already like a valid submission, right? It's just like, you know, it may not be like fully blown solution, right? And you know, it's in a way, right? So it's kind of hard to make a full end-to-end solution in the short term, right? But at least you want to validate some key components of your solution so that we can see those proofs in the submission, right?
Well, sir, what are the timings of the event?
Yeah, that's I'm not sure anyone can answer here because I'm not familiar with the details and terms.
You'll get
In
to know all
Indian
of
Standard
these.
Time.
Right, I think it will be shared, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I think in Indian Standard Time it's from 9:30 p.m. tomorrow. Oh, sorry, 9:30 a.m. to 19th of 10:30 a.m.
So,
That is 25 hours.
right. So, you know, all of these are location specific as well. So we'll share all the details in your mail ID. Please look at it right there.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
And Lex, we also have we also have one more question in the chat. Someone is doing a project on IoT and they were asking if it's possible on a Linux system.
Yeah, so the event is about AI machine learning, right? So there would have to be something in IoT related to AI and machine learning, right? In order to kind of align with the theme of the event, right?
All right.
And yeah, so that means, yeah, like yeah, IoT, right? Definitely, like you need to see like the mainframe, the architecturally, right? So they are meant and built for transactional workloads, right? To accelerate as much as possible, right? To achieve the highest throughput of transactional workloads, right? So mainframes, they are like historically, right? And it has been always kind of continued. That theme is like it's like a system that can serve thousands of users, right? Transactions from thousands of users at the same time, right? So unlike, let's say, commodity systems, right? They can maybe commodity servers, they can only serve like 10 users at the same time, right? But one mainframe system can serve thousands of users, right? Millions of users. So for example, we have some benchmarks where AI machine learning, right? The models with on the mainframe with acceleration, you can have as many as 3.5 million inferences of a model, like 3.5 million predictions in 1 second, right? So basically, theoretically, you can have 3.5 users at the same time getting their prediction, right, within a second. So you have to look into that kind of strengths of the systems when you're thinking of your idea and whether it aligns with the mainframe, right? So it's like you're in case of IoT, maybe you're saying, okay, it's not users, it's some sort of like devices, sensors, right? So that you have millions of sensors, maybe, you know, providing some transactions, some requests at the same time. So in that case, yeah, it does align, right, with the mainframe system. So it really depends, right? So we kind of it's all open, right? So any kind of ideas related to AI machine learning, which makes sense again on this kind of scale of mainframes, and yeah, definitely have good chances of winning.
Works. Thank you so much, Alex.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, those are good questions, definitely.
Sir,
Yes,
sir,
yes, Shivraj. Yes.
if data sets are mandatory, or we can use pre-trained models.
Yeah, you can use pre-trained model also, yes. In fact, I think Joe was showing the chart, but I can maybe show another chart quickly here as well. So the way since the mainframe systems, right, they're like production systems that can process like thousands and thousands of transactions per second. It's usually companies, enterprises, banks, they don't like use these systems for like experimentation or something, right? They just put them to work. They work hard in the data centers, right? They always run hot, basically, right? So always busy. So yes, in fact the models. Okay, and I think it's Joe. You're sharing, right? Your part. There is a chart. I think which showed the
Yeah. Which one
frameworks. Yeah, there was a chart like showing a framework. Basically, the concept. Yeah, this one I think. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So you can train the model anywhere, right? Using all those known tools, like for example, you can have a TensorFlow model trained somewhere in the cloud. Because let's say your data scientists, they work in the cloud, like AWS cloud or Google or IBM cloud, right? And then after you trained your model, you did all the experimentation, everything, and you have your model. This is when you go ahead and you deploy and run it on IBM Z and LinuxONE, right, in production. So yeah, that kind of fits the concept, right? But we do want you to show that you are actually running it on this environment, right? That your model is running.
Sir, I have a question.
Yeah, sure.
Are you encouraging us to use a model which is available with weights? I was thinking that I can use ChatGPT, OpenAI API keys, or should I use a Hugging Face model so that I can transport the weights of the model on the machine and do inferences on this mainframe?
Right. So now regarding generative AI, I think Joe, you had another good slide about the ensemble AI. It's like maybe number 4.
Yep.
So see there's traditional AI and there is large language models. So each sort of it's not like new and old AI, right? No, it's each AI is still modern because it is for a specific use case, right? So you have traditional AI, you have deep learning models, right? And then you have generative AI. So each kind of AI, right, is for specific use cases, right? So generative AI, right, is for deals with tokens and generation, right? So let's say if you need to do transaction scoring, right? So it's anything transactional that runs on the mainframe, right? You need to look into what model is the best fit for those use cases, right? Because generative AI, like in general, performance of Gen AI is relatively slow, right? It's kind of like you measure it in tokens per second, right? Where
Yes,
traditional
sir.
machine learning, deep learning, right, is much more practical, much faster, right, for transactional workloads. So like ensemble AI, that what shows there in the middle, right? So usually what companies do to make it practical, right? They use traditional machine learning or deep learning as the first model, right? So for example, you're trying to detect fraud in the transaction, right? So you use the fast model, which is like a traditional machine learning model, to score the transaction,
Okay.
right? And then let's say if transaction is kind of falls in between, like your scoring probability of transaction kind of, let's say,
It's
becomes like
50%.
50%, and you don't know it's fraud or not. In this case, then you engage your second second model, which could be generative AI, right? In this case. So yeah, you
Okay.
have to think about those aspects too, right? Not just like go for the the buzzword, like, hey, everybody's talking today about the chat GPT and gen model, so we're gonna just put it on the mainframe, and we have a great
Uh,
cutting edge solution, right? You have to think also like, okay, does it make
okay.
sense, right? Would it work? Also, we don't have in the lab, we don't have in this lab environment, right? We don't have uh, large language models.
Okay.
So you would have
So,
to, in this case, you would have to deal with steps like bring in the packages you need, bring in the model, right, and um,
yes.
doing this as well.
I have a question. Actually, I would like to ask a project specific question. In my project, I was thinking of making a RAG model, right? And it will use a large language model in the backend to generate. It will use a generative large language model, right, in the backend. So, I think, uh, should we train? I'm asking you, should we train this model, fine tune this any model? Like, there are bird models available and in the Hugging Face library and etc. There are many open source llama models available. Should we take those model weights, or should we get the ChatGPT API and just go through the ChatGPT API and don't bother with the uh, training and fine tuning our model according to a situation?
Yeah, well, again, like based on the criteria, judging criteria, we want you to see you leverage environment, right? You leverage frameworks, packages, which we have there, right? So it means you would have to have some traditional model, like either, like some random forests or um, gradient
Okay.
boosting trees, or maybe TensorFlow, like some deep learning model, maybe LSTM, long short
Okay.
time memory model, some traditional model, right? And then outside of that, yes, you can use anything else for your solution, right? These are APIs or BERT model, right? In this case, it doesn't really matter. It can be anything, because the complete solution probably will have something like you will need to have Flask maybe for APIs, or but
That is
all
true.
this is kind of extras, right? So important that you show, the architecture, the vision, and then you show some kind of proof that you actually leverage the environment. You ran parts of your solution on in this environment, which is there, right? And then
Okay.
everything
Uh,
extra doesn't have to run in that environment. It could be somewhere else, right? Because it just, those are just the extras for your solution, which you're submitting.
okay. I have last one question. One last question, and my question is that, uh, is there any tutorial available so that we can know the capabilities of mainframe and how to use those capabilities? Where can I find those tutorials? And how much time it will take to get familiar with the mainframe? These are my questions.
So
Yeah, there was, I don't know, Sudarshana or Joe, right?
yeah,
We used
well,
to have
so
that enterprise computing materials, right? Kind of.
yeah, so at this point in time, given the time frame that you're working in, um, what we really want you to do is focus on this open source layer that we've made available in this machine. In other words, down here, these are all we want you to focus on using the open source interfaces that are available here on this platform. There are so many details about the mainframe that in the space of a hackathon, you're never really going to be able to fully drill down into all the advantages of running on this platform. What we really want you to do is
Yes.
come in through these interfaces. These should be relatively familiar. You should be able to find something here that you understand already, and it should work the same way on this platform as it does in the cloud or on any other system that you're used to. That's the whole point for us to providing this layer, is that we can provide familiar interfaces for people. And I would just like to address a couple things that I saw in the Slack channel about how to document, or are there requirements for how we document things. When we go to judge your individual projects, we're looking for things like, and Alex already touched on this, a significant or substantial part of what you do actually does take place on this system that you're running on. The virtual machine, you're registered on that. You're actually running workload on that. You're driving the machine. You're doing things there through these open source interfaces. A lot of times we see weaknesses with projects that otherwise are doing a pretty good job, but they ran entirely on AWS and they didn't even use the virtual machine that everyone had registered for. That's one. The other is it doesn't really matter so much exactly how you document everything, as long as it's clear to us that we can see your work, right? So if you give us a pointer to your whatever GitHub repository you may use, if you're using GitHub or your Jupyter notebook, or your source code in one way or another, or a video presentation, that's much easier for us as judges to understand and to find, to assess. And if we have to struggle to find what you're looking for, it's much more difficult for us to really understand what it was that you did. So just be clear in however you document it. If you create a video, that's fine. If you give us a GitHub link, that's also always good. Whatever it is, and make sure that you open up whatever permissions are necessary for us to be able to find what you're doing. Right? A lot of times people come up with good projects and then we go to try to look at the results and permissions don't allow us to do that and we can't judge the project. So just things to keep in mind.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Mhm.
I had one last question. Like, like part of our project uses speech to text, and we are planning to use it locally, like offline. So we found this open source Python module for that, which already has a pre-trained model. So is it okay if we use that, or do you need us to like build it from scratch?
Yeah, there is a way to install, like in addition to those packages which we have already pre-packaged, right? So you can install additional packages as well. Yeah, it's in fact, it's one of the questions, those frequently asked questions I was sharing. Yeah, one of them is about how to install missing packages, right? And that could be, there is a command there to install. Like, let me quickly share the screen here. So yeah, how can I install missing packages, right? And in your Jupyter notebook, you can just put a section like in front, like on the top of your Jupyter notebook. You would just say import sys, right? And then execute this type of command, right? So I mean, within the Jupyter notebook, like you don't have to go into like Linux and container, right? Because it's containerized, right? It means if the way to install it would be like to actually go in and doing it inside of a container, which is not that simple. No, you just go in your Jupyter notebook and then you just include these 2 lines of code. And for example, this example what this command does, right, is it imports, installs the TensorFlow data sets. Like TensorFlow has also sample data sets, right? And you can actually install them using this command. You can install your package here as well, Python package.
One thing to watch out for here, this works great for Python packages that are not platform specific. So if you are using a package and say it was written for Windows or some other particular platform specifically, and the package is tailored to that environment, and you try to install it on the mainframe, it will tell you can't find this package. There will be messages saying couldn't find the package, and that's because the package is platform specific. The TensorFlow datasets are not platform specific, so they'll install just fine. Just be aware though that when you try to install from pip, take a look at the package you're using, and if it's designed for another platform, and there are hooks into that platform, it's probably not going to install here, in this environment.
But I just want to confirm. So like one of the packages provides as a pre-trained model for like speech to text. So is it okay if we use that, because the other part is what we are going to train the model for? So
if it's a publicly available model and you're not taking somebody's intellectual property, that's fine. Go ahead and use it. It's fine.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I actually wanted to add upon this is that if in case we're using transfer learning models, is that going to hamper the grading of the project? Is that going to do it anyway?
So no, if you start with another, if like say you're aggregating a series of applications and models and you put them all together, that's important. That's good work, right? You don't have to invent everything from scratch. You can build on the work that other people have done, as long as you're abiding by any license terms, as long as you're not stealing somebody else's work, and they're fine with with public use of it, then by all means it will not cost, that's not something we see that as an advantage, right? Take advantage of the facilities that you have available to you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Hi, adding to this, I would like to get one confirmation. I have a doubt. Am I audible?
Yes, we can hear.
Yes, as discussed earlier about this explainable AI and using Gen AI, and since if we have a plan on working with this predictive analytics project, and if we are not getting any LLMs or SLMs for the training data sets, can we go with the models like as discussed earlier, like OpenAI models directly and integrating them?
Yeah, and this is like ensemble AI, right? So you basically, because there is a reason we have these packages, right? The traditional machine learning and also deep learning packages, because these are the ones that align the most with the nature of the mainframe system, right? So basically, again, this transactional workloads, thousands and tens of thousands users. The server, one system serves those thousands of users at the same time, right? So these kind of use cases scenarios, right, align the best with those frameworks. So yeah, that doesn't mean that you cannot have transformer models and generative AI there. You can, right? It just would be like kind of like supplemental to the core model that you will have, and your core model would be like either traditional machine learning or deep learning. So then yes, you show, like in your project, you show, okay, we have this traditional ML, like random forest model running on IBM LinuxONE, right? Doing like the heavy lifting of scoring transactions, or processing those thousands of requests, and then you have Gen AI model, maybe like using OpenAI APIs, right? From your project, making calls as a kind of secondary model that is involved, right, as part of this ensemble AI concept, where you kind of use multiple models to achieve the best result, the best accuracy, right? But then you're saying, okay, this API calls, or external API calls, they're not like done for every single user request or every single transaction, right? They would be done maybe for like 1% of all the requests, or maybe even 0.1%, right? So that would kind of make sense, right, from the technology perspective. Because if you're saying, okay, there's thousands of requests per second coming in, and you are trying to leverage open AI API for every single one, right? This is like not realistic solution, not practical, and also it will not like align well with the mainframe technology.
Great question.
Thank you.
Thank you for clarification.
Yeah, sure.
I would just like to confirm one more thing. So if we, since if you're not using any data set and if you're trying to use the pre-trained models yet getting a better accuracy, will that be affecting our grading system?
Yeah, I'm not sure I fully understood the question. So you mean like if you have like pre-trained model as part of your...
I think she's saying that if we use pre-trained models and we are not getting better accuracy, we are getting worse accuracy in those models.
No, I
How
mean like
much?
if we are getting a decent accuracy with the pre-trained models itself without getting another data set and connecting it.
Yeah, and we see like we're not going to look into like accuracy, because again, this is short-term hackathon, right? So definitely you cannot like like if it was a real project, it takes like months and months to improve the accuracy, right?
Yes.
The models, right? So we're not
Fine-tune the
expecting
model.
like you're gonna get perfect accuracy out of this, right? But it's about, you know, like you prove, like you show the solution, right? You show the concept, you show what eventually like what how your solution will look like, right? And then you show some proofs of components and parts of it, right? You're saying, okay, this model, here's the proof, you know, that model, here's the proof, right? Here's the architecture, here's how it's going to be. It doesn't have, you don't have to like build it entirely, right?
Yes, yes.
After completing, let's say I have done much of the work, not much of the work. Let's say I've made the model presentable. I have made them project presentable within 1 day. And let's say my project gets selected. Are we going to get guidance for completion of our project? Or can we get the guidance and more time for completion of our project?
Correct. Yeah, that's what, yeah, we have done like with last year's winners too, right? So the winning projects, then yeah, then they get a mentor from IBM, right? Someone who will then work with the team to help them um, finish the project, right? Also to like make, for example, a blog post or kind of an article, joint article, which then, you know, is a good addition to the resume and other things, right? So it's, yes, it means the winners, right, will basically continue working with us on this winning project, right? And yeah, get more out of it.
So like for the
Okay, thank you.
24-hour hackathon, do we got like specific assigned topics or we come up with random problems?
Yeah, you come up there like the 3 Jupyter notebooks included in the lab environment, right? So it means you start, you request the system, you get access to the environment, you run those samples to get an idea. Like one example is, for example, the fraud detection in credit card transactions, right? So it shows you that you know, you can use different models to detect fraud in the credit card transactions, right? So like without AI machine learning, right, it would be like programmers, developers looking through those credit card transactions, determining the fraud patterns, right? Then writing a program to detect those patterns, but then there will be always new patterns appearing, right? So this is where AI machine learning like is a great solution, because you can just retrain the model, tune the model, and then continuously you can detect thousands of fraud patterns, right, in credit cards. So we have that example. Another one is around, and you will see like a lot of examples from the financial industry, because that's where mainframes are popular, right? Financial industry, retail, where you have like those thousands of users, thousands of transactions, right? That's where the systems are. Usually in the back end, there will be a mainframe system running, right? So we have another example where we kind of trying to detect the assess the predict the loss or profit from a credit card user, right? Based on the transactions, based on activity, other factors, and try to predict whether this user of credit card or that user of credit card will be a profit or loss for the bank, right? So another example. There are some
Okay, so
other examples.
like
So you would look through those examples, right? Maybe get an idea what it is, right? How it is, and then perhaps you will get an inspiration for your own idea, and that's what you will pursue then.
so it's like we are continue doing those examples, working on those examples, or we can choose
No, those examples is just
entirely
for
different.
you to get an idea and get an inspiration, right? But
Oh,
you
I
have to
see.
come up with your idea, right, and solution.
For those examples.
Not for those examples, no.
Oh, but what if
there-
like someone has already done a project on some specific topics several days, several months ago, and they submit their results to this Datathon, and like how can you tell whether they finish it
Oh,
in
because
several
you will
days?
have to run it on the in this lab environment, right, on LinuxONE. You'll have to
Oh,
show the
okay.
proof that you run it, right? So yeah,
But
you
the
may
code
have
they
some like building blocks, right, from previous projects and so on, right? But you would have to show us that you actually brought them in, you ran it, and they run on LinuxONE, right?
Oh, okay, I see. Thank you.
Yeah, which is that's the element of hacking, right? So making sure that you leverage the technology which we provide, like, yeah.
I see.
I have a question. If we if we register today, can we like start familiarizing ourselves with the platform and checking the samples, or will they be open tomorrow?
So
Yeah, I think that the
yeah.
timings, right? We probably, yeah, the organizer, right? Shooting Star Foundation probably can answer better, right? Because yeah, they are driving the terms, trying to make it fair for all the participants, right? So do we have anyone from Shooting Star Foundation to comment on the
Yes.
terms, timings? Yeah.
Yeah. So it's up to you. You can, explore the platform, but you cannot start, on creating or curating the actual project. You can explore it for sure.
Okay, thank you.
Right. So it means, yeah, you can probably start learning, exploring, kind of getting ready, right? And then at the given time, start the actual project. Yeah.
Hello, sir.
Hello.
Sir, we have submitted an abstract about an idea which uses a basic AI or ML model. So we want to change our idea and do another project. Are we allowed to do that?
Yeah,
Yes.
you
You can definitely, go ahead and do that. Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am.
Ma'am, I have a question that like I want to change one of my members of the team because of some personal issues of that particular member. Can we do it?
Now it's too late. You can continue with the team that you have already and start hacking.
Well, I have registered my team a few days before, but I didn't get any of the confirmation of the things like that your team have been selected or is going to perform.
Yeah, so all of these details, if you can ping me in over email or by WhatsApp, I'd be able to clarify better.
What are your account handles?
I'll share it with you shortly, Divyansh.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. I think we do not have any more questions.
Actually, I've got one more last question.
Oh.
So I have problem like forming a team. So I think I submit the team form on the 5th of October, so which is a deadline for team registration, but I didn't receive any team number. And I think that's a failure, right?
So it should be because of the fact that you have submitted in the last minute. We will check that shortly if you can connect with me. While we end this call, I'll drop my email address right here in the chat. So yeah, you're open to do that.
One
Okay,
more
thank
last
you.
query, please.
Yeah.
Ma'am, could we get the recorded like the video of this Zoom meeting?
Yes, you will get it
Where?
in your email.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the presentations, I believe we're gonna put them on the Discord, right? In Discord channel.
Yeah, that will also work, Alex.
Okay.
Well, I request you to please share it on WhatsApp also, sir.
We will share it, Divyansh. Please hold. Discord will be the only platform all the IBM SMEs will be handling. So please get onto the Discord. The link is already shared in your WhatsApp groups. And then the presentations will be shared. Alex, it would be great if we can share it in the announcement, channel so no one misses it.
Okay, and did you get the presentation from Sudarshana already, or not yet?
Not yet.
Okay, then yeah, I guess I can just
Get a
put it.
documented format of LinuxONE guide.
We will share what we have shared today over here in the meeting. And we'll also share the recording, which you can refer. Amruta.
Yes, thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Alex and Joe, for being patient with all the questions and all of the other stuff. Yeah, really looking forward to the event. All the best, everyone.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
Thank you.
Regards to you.
Good luck.
All the best.
Good luck, everyone. Bye bye. Thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.